Hey, welcome back to my channel, Phil Stuff. Today we're doing some, I don't know if you call it homesteady stuff or whatever, but anyways, we raise our own meat birds, and today is butchering day. So I'm going to show you how to do what we call a gutless method of processing them. So obviously not good if you want a roasting chicken, but this is just for basically piecing off breasts, legs, wings, and that's like 95% of the meat on a chicken anyways. That way you don't have to deal with gutting them and all that gross stuff. And so the disadvantage, I guess, is you don't get things like gizzards and hearts and that kind of stuff. If you're into the organ meat, this isn't really the way to go. And like I said, you don't get roasting chickens. But for most meals that people do, they are generally using chicken breast and legs and things like that anyways. So I think this is way quicker, way simpler, less messy. So I'll get into how we do it. Okay, so for starters, you're going to need two good sharp knives, and that's really important. You want your knives to be nice and sharp. We use an electric sharpener to keep our blades in good shape. They're really inexpensive, and then you can sharpen your knives whenever you need to. So something like a chef's knife, a little bit heavier to get in between the bones, like the joints, and then something that's a little thinner, somewhat flexible but not super flexible, and these tend to be, I keep this in a really sharp condition. So we've got our chicken, and we've already obviously killed it and plucked it. But that's all we've done, and you don't need to do a super good job of plucking the breast meat in this situation, but it's nice to have for it just to be clean and have it more out of your way. So what I do first is I deal with the legs first, and then I'll deal with the breasts. So the legs, what you want to do, basically you're going to run your knife right along. There's a joint, there's sort of the joint is back here, okay? And in between that, there's like a pocket of connecting stuff. So you're just going to run your knife straight down like that. Okay? And you can see here, it's not actually connected to each other. There's just meat in between. So you're just going to run your knife down here and just come down this back area a little bit. And then same thing, a little bit on the front. And then what you're going to want to do is you're just going to take your hand and pop the joint, so like that. And then take your knife and run it along the back area on an angle. Feed through that joint, and like that. And that's your leg off on the one side. Okay? So the other little bit of meat that you're missing out quite often is just this little tiny bit here. And it's really very minor. So we do the same thing on the other side. So just like that. Just a little bit down this back side, a little bit down the front. Pop the joint, and then on the angle so you get as much of that meat in that area as possible. You can see how it just pops right open, and you can feed your knife in between there, and then like that. Okay? Next thing we want to do is the breast. So there's a bone here called the keel bone or the breastbone. And what you're going to do is you're going to find that, and you're going to run your knife down either side of it to do each breast. So we're going to take our knife and run it right along like that. Okay? And then what I'm going to do, after I've cut through both the skin, and then there's kind of a layer of like membraney stuff, probably the fascia or something like that if you were okay. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my knife, bring it in the back here, poke it straight through, slice the skin, and then I'm just going to peel back all of this skin. Okay, expose the breast. Okay, so then we're going to come back to the other side, same thing. Go through without getting the meat, and then you can just peel it back. And sometimes it's helpful if you get these little tendrils just to give it a little slice like that and peel that back. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to locate that keel bone, and we're just going to come right down the side of it like that. Okay, and then we're going to fill it off this breastbone, so this breast meat. So what you're wanting to do is find the rib cage bones and just come down the side like this. So you can do it little bits at a time like this, nice and slow if you're worried about it. Try not to leave too much behind. And then we're going to cut right up into the shoulder area. Okay. And just like that. And there's our breast. Okay. Now on this other side, tucked in here is the chicken's crop. So that's where they process their first processing stage for their food. So that can often be full of food and stuff. We generally take their feed away the night before. But this is the crop, this piece here stuck on. So what I like to do is just kind of peel that back. And you can just sort of cut the connective tissue if you need to. But peel that right back so it's not on that shoulder. And the reason is you do not want to cut that open. It's full of all kinds of lovely gross stuff. So if you keep it out of your way, when you go to cut that shoulder through, you're not going to have that problem. Okay? Otherwise, it's the same thing as the other side. Come straight down the keel bone. Okay, and then you're next going to come in from the end. And like I said, the first few times you do this, go nice and slow. And don't worry about if you see any stuff, then you've gone too deep. You're getting into the guts on the inside. You've gone past the bone. The bones are quite small, the sort of rib cage bones. And then again, when you come up to this shoulder area, be careful we're not poking this. I like to cut it right from the back side. Be careful of your fingers, obviously, too, that they're not in the way. Okay, and there's our next breast. So then what we've got left is the wings, and for those I just like to hold the chicken up like this, and we're just going to follow the line here. So I just come straight down like this, okay, and then there's going to be a spot that you'll just naturally find where the knuckle is. See, when I hit that tendon, it just pops open like that, and then you're just going to slice through. That's the wing. Same thing on the other side, sort of cut down. There's that knuckle joint, whatever you want to call it. Okay, and then this is kind of what you're left with here. And you can see there's a tiny bit of meat here where I maybe didn't get quite enough into the breast, but if you see, if I slice that like that, there's the rib and the insides are right below there. So it's not like I've missed much. There's a tiny bit, I guess, still stuck to the keel bone. So the other thing you don't get out of this, obviously, is stock. Like if you do a roasting chicken, you can boil it after and get stock. So this guy, I just keep a bucket going, and then we get a good fire going outside, and we put these guys right on top. But the rest of this is just all guts, the heart, liver, that sort of stuff. Then here's where your big knife comes in handy. So your chicken wing, just put it on the table like that, give it a bit of a push, and you're just going to come straight down. And same thing, you're going to come into that joint. If you get it at the right spot, right at the knuckle, it just pops. And this one takes a little more of a chunk. This piece is garbage, obviously. So maybe that's a little bit of a better view. Just come straight down like that into the knuckle. Find the knuckle on this side, slice it. There's our wings. Okay. For your chicken legs, you can separate these if you want, the drum from the back. I usually don't. I freeze them like that. So then what you're going to do is I kind of hold it like this so it's got some tension on it, and you're just going to come across here and you pop through the tendon, and then you just punch down like that to get the last bit of it. You know, and if you buy these in the store, they clean this up a little bit maybe, but you don't need to. So same thing this side here, pop through the tendon and it just opens that joint right up. Okay, and so there you can see we've got our breast, wings, legs, and I just put these off in the sink until I get enough of them, and then I'll package up a bunch. And what we'll do is we'll wrap each individual breast in plastic wrap and then put them into a large size Ziploc bag, like 6 of them or something in a Ziploc bag. And we find those are good from freezer burn for pretty much an entire year, because that's what we do. We do enough chicken for 1 year, and then the next summer we do up another bunch.